All right, Patrick, now that you've had a few days to sort of process, I know how upset you get when the Vikings lose. So now that you've had a few days to sort of get rid of the emotions and look at this logically, how do you feel about our 0-3 Vikings?
I feel as they are going down, they're 0-3, and they're going down and playing a bad team. I don't care what anybody wants to tell me about Carolina. They stink. If you don't go down there and beat them, then this is a season gone to hell, and you are a lousy football team. So we will find out, I guess, Sunday. To this point, they have had a chance to win 2 games, and they screwed them away 2 out of 3. They did not have a chance to win the Philadelphia game, no matter what crap their hardcore fans are trying to tell you. When you give up 250 yards rushing, you don't have a chance to win the game. But, are they bad enough to lose to Carolina? I don't think so. I don't think they're bad enough. But if they are, then you got some serious issues. It sounds like, are they going to throw Reisner right into the mix here? Do you think?
It's hard to tell. I think so, but they're going with, well, we might play him at left guard or right guard. He might not play. We're going to play the 5 best. I think he plays. Yeah.
And and you were telling me the scouting report is on he can run block but not pass block.
It's kind of the other way.
Reverse that.
Okay, he can pass block and not run block. Well, that's okay because we don't want to run anyway. So if we still wanted to run, Dalvin Cook could still be here. So you don't want to run anyway. So
Pat, the Vikings have 9 rushing. They had a pretty good rushing day last week. They have 9 rushing first downs. The Eagles have 37. So
that does not fit the old profile of what you needed to win, and especially in the second half of the season. Although that was outdoors, this is, there's no difference with the Vikings. There's no difference between September and December, so you don't have to worry about that. Once in a while, you got to go play a cold game. Yeah. So
you don't view this as a trap game, then, huh? Can there be a trap game when you start 0-3?
When you're 0-3, there's no trap game. The only trap is you stink. That's the only trap is you are not good is the only trap game. But I will say, a visit to Carolina remains my favorite moment in Viking history. Stephen Smith rowing the boat in the bullpen, in the end zone is still my favorite. My one single favorite moment in Viking history is that.
Maybe PJ Fleck stole it just to troll us. Just rowing the boat. Row the boat.
Yes, yeah, he could have. That's what. When he loses a game, somebody should go and get that. When he loses a game like Iowa, somebody should go get the Steve
Smith meme.
Is there a Stephen Smith little thing that you can run?
We should create it. It was before meme culture. It was before Twitter.
Before memes.
You were giddy that day, Reusse. I was sitting by you in the press box in Carolina. You were absolutely giddy.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was. And Dante, that was the end of Dante, too. I mean, what we forget about Dante is how rotten he was playing before he got hurt. And everybody said, they were 1-6 after that game? Was that right? Or they ended up 1-6, right?
Or something. Yeah, they were bad.
And they put Brad Johnson in and went on the winning streak. And
they almost
in typical Viking fashion.
9-7 or something.
In typical Viking fashion, right?
They got 6 out of 7, something like that. If they would have won at Baltimore on that Monday night, I think they would have had it. No, it wasn't a Monday night, but didn't they go to Baltimore and get beat? That was what did them
on Christmas. But I think the death knell was that Sunday night game that got flexed against Washington. Right, I think it was right after Sean Taylor had died. Right.
Oh, okay.
And they played Washington and got beat on a Sunday night. And
okay,
I think
I was getting confused with the with the first game Tice coach there when Denny got fired and they went to Baltimore and ended up that season losing to Baltimore. I was getting confused with that Monday night game in Baltimore, which was not. I think it was a Monday night. Even at the end of the season, they made you play a Monday night game back then. Monday night. What's with the 2 games on Monday night? What's going on here? What is it about?
I don't know how long they're going to do it, but I think it's just let's dominate because live football is the most watched television show, right? In 2020.
Sure, right. Yeah.
So if we can start one game at like 7:00 Eastern time, and then start the other one like an hour later, and then have like multiple channels. We can just kind of own prime time on a Monday for 5-6 hours.
But it's on two different ESPN. ESPN has it, right?
ESPN and ABC runs a game too.
But it's probably a plea from ABC and ESPN to get their money's worth, right? So I don't know. I was surprised. I thought when I saw it a couple of weeks ago, I thought it was a cancel. Somebody got lightninged out or something and played we're playing the next day. But it's they're doing that now. And this week, is it this week we go to London? And or is it the next? So the
Jaguars get their annual home game at London. Yeah.
So we get the triple header. The next 2 weeks we have the triple header. Those guys can't wait to get teams in Europe, get a team in Europe, so they can have that. They can have the 3 games on a Sunday. 4 games on a Sunday actually.
Now this one though is an ESPN Plus only game on Sunday,
really?
And we go back to one Monday night game. Yeah. So
okay.
It's not a doubleheader on Monday.
And they're using these games now to get you to find these streaming services, right?
Yes.
And ESPN Plus and so Amazon. ESPN Plus I got to pay for, right? I don't have it, but you got to pay for it.
You do have to pay for it. Yes.
Does anybody know what that costs?
Although is this game sometimes like what Apple TV had done in the past is we'll show you a baseball game for free. Do we have to pay to watch the London game? That's the question.
Yeah, that's I don't know, but if it's Jacksonville, I'm not watching, so I don't.
Yeah, you'd have to pay for ESPN Plus, Pat. It's like $6 a month just for the standalone. I have it with the bundle with Disney and Hulu, but that's now going up to $20 a month in like a couple weeks. So
I had Hulu was my original streaming service, and then 2 months later, the BSN they've gotten a feud with BSN and dropped them. So then I switched to YouTube, which now doesn't have BSN on it either. So I've had to go to nefarious ways to watch the BSN boys.
Wow, both you and Declan on your like fishy websites to watch Twins games.
Yeah.
I don't know what. I was there for a few innings last night. Eddie Julian didn't take long to hit a home run. I like that when he swings the bat. Don't you like it when he swings the bat?
Yeah.
First pitch right here, home run. Let's go. Thank you.
I know they're playing the A's and they're about to play the Rockies, but this is the best the whole collection has looked all season. They are if there is such thing as the cliche as peaking at the right time, this is a manifestation of it.
I wish I had been there Tuesday to see Wallner's ball. The thing was they were pointing at it. They were showing me where it landed, but the thing about it was the altitude. I mean, it was the angle was like 36% or something like that.
How was that not the longest home run of the season there? Buxton
463.
Buxton has 2 that were longer, which I have trouble believing.
I never adjust that. I don't. I think it's certainly more accurate when Tom Mee would take out his slide rule and try to figure out what it was.
Ben Ogilvy, that's BS.
But I think that it's, I don't think they're 100% accurate. But
we're using the physics, right? We're using it's like launch angle combined with miles per hour off the bat.
If the ball was hit that high and it landed where it landed, that everybody was showing me, you can't hit it further than that. That's all the farther a baseball will go.
Yeah.
The Wallner hit it. It was, the scoreboard over there, and then there's that little fence that's next to the scoreboard way out there. And the second deck, and it was like 3 rows from hitting that fence that's back there. It's that's unbelievable.
I didn't see it live. I just saw. I don't know if it was Dustin or someone had sent out a note that it was a Jim Thome. It landed in a Jim Thome like place, and that's the two home runs that made me go, "Oh my God!" out loud. Were top of the flagpole when Jim Thome hit the top of the flagpole, and then he had another one. They used to have this is before they kind of changed the center field.
Before they put the catch in center.
He hit a ball up into those like over the batter's eye and up like halfway up the stands.
It would have killed 3 people in that restaurant now if it would have been if it would have been the old thing. Yeah. It is these are not supposed. This obviously is not the juicy baseball that we were hitting in 2019 because you see a lot of balls that are hit and you say, okay, that was a home run 4 years ago, but so it's not. They're not doing it with the lively baseball, but you combine, that kid's got the hit it as far as I can swing. And everybody was telling me, okay, he had that slump, but he made adjustments. No, he didn't. He's gonna hit. He's gonna hit for 2 weeks. He's gonna not hit for 2 weeks. He's gonna hit for 2 weeks. He's a left-handed, 60-year-later version of Bob Allison. Okay, they're always this way. The big lugs are always this way. They're hot or they're cold. There's no between. Remember Tom Brunansky. I beg of you to remember when he would hit 182 the first half and 330 the second half, or vice versa. He was always going to end up at 252. Yep. That's no matter how he got there, he was always going to hit 252. Yeah. So that's the way big guys work, and I don't think it's because whatever the guy's name is, the hitting coach, who by the way is now going to be back this year for sure. We're now on the David Hopkins bandwagon. I'm sure it's nothing that guy told him. It's okay, hey, I feel pretty good now. I see the ball. I'm going to hit it. That's I don't buy there's the other thing. Hey, Gleeman, who's great on stats like this, had a stat that this is the first time in 100 years they've had 3 guys with OPS of over 900 or whatever it is. Well, let's calm down here because a season is 502 plate appearances. You can't randomly take guys who've had 150 at bats and make it a historical achievement. I don't think.
So Wallner has the second highest. Reusse Lewis has the highest OPS, 239 trips.
Yeah.
Wallner has the second highest OPS, 240 trips.
Yeah.
So those guys added up aren't even a full season of.
No, and Julian's what, 300 now? Is he over 300?
He's 389. Yeah.
380. Oh man, he's up to 389. Yeah. Well, his is pretty legitimate, and I'm not complaining about the stat or anything, but I'm just saying those aren't really. This isn't like Lynn and Rice when you had, they each had 650 plate appearances or something like that, and were finished 1-3 in the MVP voting as rookies. That was, I remember watching those guys take batting practice, and the Red Sox used to hit 5-minute increments. There's regulars that come out and they'd hit for 5 minutes. They didn't jump in and out of the box. And those 2 guys would hit for 5 minutes, and then Yaz and George Scott and all the rest of them. That was, then our little twins, they'd hit maybe, I'd watch them hit BP and they might hit 120 home runs. And then our little twins would get out there and hit 3, yeah. in their BP jumping in and out of the box. But hey, I was going to tell you my Earl Weaver, Brooks Robinson story, Judd.
Oh. Yes.
Yeah, oh Brooks, you mentioned last night the great Brooks Robinson died a couple of days ago. And it's become public. I mean, it's become a discussion point now that they retired him in 1977 at Met Stadium, and people were wondering how that happened. They needed a catcher. They wanted to activate Rick Dempsey, and Brooks wasn't playing much. He was cooked. So what was it? Late June, July, or early August?
August 10th.
Sometime in August. And Sunday morning, you get to the ballpark, and the teams didn't travel PR guys very often. They just had a traveling secretary, and they had a great PR guy named Bob Brown, but I can't remember him being on any road trips except in the playoffs. And so they just said, they just kind of told us that Brooks was retiring, and you could talk to him in the clubhouse in 20 minutes or something like that. That was it. But Earl was there that morning holding court. So we went down to the dugout, and Earl was there. And there was a place in town called Ichabod's Wet Goods back in the day, downtown Minneapolis. It was a very popular sports bar. They had a bartender named Tommy Peebles who knew every baseball player in the world. He was a bald guy, and he was a man about town. And Earl was a big buddy of Tommy. And I know damn well that Earl was in the dugout telling us about Earl. telling us about Brooks on 0 minutes sleep. He had been up all night. He could barely keep himself awake down in the corner, but he was still poetic going on and on about Brooks. But he did reek of alcohol. It was a kind of a hot day, and it was already getting warm in the morning, and there was some stuff coming out of his pores. I recognized the smell of reeking of alcohol, and that was. But I usually had showered by that time of the day. But Earl had. I don't even. You would have thought maybe Earl would have showered. Well, I guess maybe he did shower when he got to the ballpark, but then you sat in that uniform for 20 minutes on a hot day, and that booze still came out of him. But that was hilarious. And
Ichabod's Wet Goods is also a great name. Where in Minneapolis was this bar?
Downtown, but God, I'm trying to remember where it was. That wasn't one of my spots, so I didn't drink there much. But the ball players did. It was in I think it was an office building downstairs, but it became a big sports bar. I don't think it was Seven Corners. Maybe it was. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But Ichabod's Wet Goods. I looked up when it was in business last night, and it was 71 to 79. But it was big. It was I don't know. I think the building they were in. Maybe it was an old office building, because the building they were in got taken down, and that's why they got moved out of there. So
in the Metrodome and the Target Field era, guys can just you can walk out of the stadium if you're a player. I remember one time I showed Max Scherzer where Glicks was like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
you can kind of just wander out of the stadium, or you can go to the old Hubert's at the Metrodome or the Press Box Bar. When it was the Met Stadium, where would guys were there any bars within walking distance of that parking lot in Met Stadium?
No,
where would guys go to get a drink after a game?
There was after a while, the Thunderbird Hotel had a bar in it, and then Marriott came later. But the Thunderbird was the original hotel out there, and people would drink there. But the players, I don't know, they stayed downtown, so they get in a bus and stay downtown. Now we had a drinking place. That was the Twins room downstairs, where the proprietor of the place, Billy Robertson, Calvin's brother, would say, "Lock it up when you leave, boys." So, and that was that was taken as a challenge many times, many times. They tell this story about that was before my time, but the Angels had a collection of beat writers in the 60s. They were like 8-9 newspapers covered the Angels, all the suburban dailies then. And the Angels paid because the Dodgers had done this. The Angels paid put them on the airplane and paid their hotel bill. So to get the coverage, and opposed to the Dodgers. Somebody tells the story about it. Looks like they're walking across the street to the hotel. The Marriott was open by then, I think. And they're walking across the parking lot. And it looks like the scene out of Lawrence Arabia, like 8 guys stretched out across the parking lot, carrying their typewriters, all of them wobbling and it's morning by now. It's the sun is rising.
Bradley Cooper just leading his crew.
Yeah, right. It was quite the place. Or you haven't lived until as I've said 100 times, until you've seen Bill Mazeroski sliding into the drunk one-legged bartender to show him he doesn't know how to turn the double play.
Target Field needs a room like that, Patrick.
It sure
That's
does.
what Target Field needs.
Yeah, we did. When we got to the Metrodome, we wondered what was going to happen to the drinking room, and it pretty well disappeared. It kind of went away. Because it was harder to get out of anyway. If you wanted to stumble out of the place at Met Stadium, nobody was around, but downtown there are people. So
I know Target Field. Like the last homestand. They do the media appreciation. They let you have like one beer in the press box.
Mm-hmm.
Do we not do that if you're a playoff team? Like do they only allow that if you're not in the playoffs?
That's right. I'm not sure. By the way, I was sober when I got to the Metrodome, so I don't know if anybody stayed there and drank.
I'm pretty sure I remember both at the Metrodome and at Target Field, and I don't want to get anyone in trouble by saying this, but I'm pretty sure they were on the nights where the Twins would clinch something at home. and you're working late in the press box, that there might have been a
Yeah.
a light beer slid your direction.
There was beer in the press box. They would bring up post game like
Afterwards.
a pitcher of beer in the dome,
A
but
pitcher?
it wasn't
like a
no like a
Like a bucket.
thing of ice and beer in the bucket.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bucket
they would
of
do that.
Does
to
not.
them.
That does not equal a quart of Tanqueray gin. I can
No,
guarantee you that.
No, it does not.
That's
No, it
not
does
an
The
not.
official
nice thing
bar.
about the Twins, not only did they have the drinking room, they poured good booze too. They, in fact, they switched to Tanqueray at my insistence before that.
Well, there's
So
like
Calvin
taking-
wasn't so cheap. You see,
No,
No.
Now
Calvin
when it came
wasn't
to-
cheap at all.
Not when it came to alcohol. But,
can we upgrade from the Johnny Red to the Johnny Blue there? Actually,
Hey, Calvin.
Twins are last place. Can we?
Joe Poe.
Oh God, there was a scout named Eddie Lyons who ended up being the Twins third base coach, but he didn't make it out of spring training. He was so awful. But Eddie was the Cubs, right? He was a Cub scout, famous Cub scout. He scouted the Twins. They would never made any trades. They were in a different league. He scouted the Twins 50 games a year just to be in the press. He was there. He was there for Eddie. What the hell are you doing?
Yep, they look good over there on the left side.
Yeah,
of the infield.
we might
Never know when a
make
trade might go down.
We might make a trade any moment.
Soderholm, we like Soderholm.
That's a tough
Yeah,
lefty.
yeah, right.
It's a tough lefty. Really, it's tough
He
for the
might have been
dives.
in on the Randy Hundley, Billy Hans trade. I don't know. Came back for years. Eddie loved the Twins.
Yeah. All right, Pat. We got to get to a scoop session here, but we'll
All
talk.
right.
We'll talk again tomorrow. And
I don't sleep on Lafayette, boys. They're better than Northwestern. Our boys better play better
I
than they
agree.
did last week.
I
Yes.
told these guys yesterday in our write that down predictions, the Gophers will trail by double-digit points at some point in this game.
Before they courageously come back. Well,
Or
we
maybe
got to
not.
find out. I gotta go. We gotta go, but we got to find out about the quarterback. Is he any good? So far, no.
No.
They
Well,
say he is.
PJ is rightfully so, by the way, annoyed by the lack of NIL money. That was a topic
Yeah,
here.
but he's getting more than everybody else. He's getting it all over there. Nobody else is getting any.
He's threatening that the good young back could leave immediately after this year unless we can pay him more.
Yeah. Well, he's right.
Darius
He is
Taylor, right?
But just think if you're somebody else. What if you're Ben Johnson and your NIL money's like $150 because PJ's getting all you got? So
Yeah.
the other team.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's too much competition in this town. People
You
are
gotta
buying
cheat.
suites. They're
Start
buying-
cheating more. Just cheat.
No.
Ignore the rules. I don't care what they are. Cheat. Get these kids cars. Get these
There are
kids
no
deals.
rules. There are no rules.
Well,
You
let's just
don't
get
have
them
to worry
what they
about
need.
breaking rules. There are no. Bring back a Musselman, and it can't be Bill. We'll take Eric. Okay.
Take away the athletic endowments and give them to the kids. That's what I say. Give them to the players. Let's win some football games.
Yeah, Pat left about 30 seconds ago.
We got to go.
Shout out to our friends at Power Lodge and Miller Marine. So, hey, we're transitioning to the fall season here. In fact, in a week, it's going to be like 40 degrees outside, which I think we're all kind of ready for a little fall air here. Power Lodge is Minnesota's CF Moto Superstore, and since they buy more, you save more. And Power Lodge has new deals to get you ready for your fall escape. These 4x4s start at an unbelievable $45.99. Get ready for whatever the wilderness throws at you this fall and upcoming winter. PowerLodge.com and MillerMarine.com.